All right, welcome everybody. If you want to take a seat, we will go ahead and get started. I was commenting a minute ago as I went out into the lobby, that might have been the loudest that it's ever been in that lobby, which to me, that's a wonderful thing. So I love the banter that was going on between families and friends and colleagues, and so that is really why we do this tonight. It's a wonderful opportunity to celebrate these amazing graduates. So I am Brandon Mickelson. I am the director of the Family Medicine Base Program here in Pocatello, and I will kind of work as an MC for this event tonight. So thank you. I know some of you have come from great distances. I know there's people out there on YouTube watching, and so we are super excited to have everybody here. We always like to start off graduation just briefly acknowledging the many partners that help us to get and the graduates to where they are. And so I often refer to it as our three-legged stool that supports this residency here. And so that's Idaho State University. Dr. Rex Force is generally usually here to give a few words. In his busy life with ISU, they have him up in Boise. And so we are super grateful for ISU and all that they do to support their residency. And so if we can give them a round of applause. And then our second kind of area of the three-legged stool would be Portneuf Medical Center. Now for Mark Still, who is graduating, that would be Madison Memorial. But again, the hospitals play an absolutely critical role in the teaching here. And so we have a few people. There is Brad. So Brad was able to join us. Thank you for being here, Brad. Appreciate that. And then I think John Abreu was going to be here a little bit later. And so those of you who know John Abreu, he will be here as well. So again, round of applause for Portneuf Medical Center. And then our last part of our three-legged stool is Health West, where clinic happens. And as they normally do, they've got a video for us. May have to hit one more. Oh, I'll have to click on it directly here. There is no play on this screen. Oh, got it. We're good.
Congratulations, class of 2023, and thank you for your years of service. We are honored to have worked with you over the last 3 years. We wish you all the best with your future endeavors. Go Bengals!
Hey guys, hard to believe that 3 years has come and gone, but just wanted to give you my heartfelt congratulations. Best of wishes to you, class of 2023.
Well, you guys did well. That was the loudest I think anybody's ever been during the video, so you're continuing your theme. Thank you. Love that energy. Love that energy. Before we get into graduation, there's a few things that we would like to continue doing. One of them is we'd like to, as we lose our wonderful graduates, we gain wonderful new learners. And so we're going to kind of just share. Many of those are here with us tonight. And so the first one we have here is our new psychology resident, and she is not here with us tonight. We have one of our graduates here who's on both slides, and so Taishay is graduating but not graduating. We're super excited to keep her as she is one of our 2 hospitalist fellows. And those of you that have been with the residency for a while, you'll recognize Dr. Jessica Mendez, who graduated about, 5 years ago, 4 years ago? 5 years ago, and who's coming back and doing the hospitalist fellowship. We, if you'll recall, we have a new psychiatry residency that started 3 years ago, first 2 years in Utah, and then the last 2 years in Pocatello. And so here are the 3 psychiatry residents that are new to Pocatello, that will be starting in Pocatello here in a couple of weeks. And so those are, we're excited to have them. And so we'll have 3rd years and 4th years. And then these are our 3 interns that matched into the psychiatry residency. They will be in Utah for the next couple of years. We next have our pharmacy intern, Harrison. And Harrison, why don't you go ahead and come down? Harrison, come down, please. And if the medical interns, if you want to start making your way down, that would be great as well. So we have Rylan Andersons, Smita Armstrong, Nico Haragos, Brigham Hardy, Landon Hillebrandt, Ryan Hutchins, Michael Mills, James Scott, Bo Dayton, and Zach Nelson. Yeah, you guys can just line up there. We have a long-standing tradition. Well, physicians and pharmacists in general kind of have a long-standing tradition that's going by the wayside a little bit, but that is wearing white coats. And you see it happen a little bit, but not as much as you two. But we still have a tradition of presenting white coats to our new pharmacy and medical interns. And we have a wonderful tradition in this residency of nurses presenting those white coats. We recognize and hope that they will recognize that they will fail miserably without the wonderful nurses' help around them. And they are such a critical part of this team. And so we have some wonderful nurses that are joining us here. And so we will have the presentation of the white coats. And so Rylan, if you want to grab your white coat, and then after him, Smita. Nico. Brigham. Landon. Ryan. Michael. Oh, you know what? I forgot we had this weird order. So, Harrison, we're partially...
So I have Ryan.
Yep, no, I messed up there, so that's me. I made notes on my other one and put it in my pocket.
Let's do it. I have Ryan. Are you ready?
All right. Let's try this again. Let's get my one with notes on it. All right. So at Landon, and then after Landon should have been Harrison. So. All right. Did we get Ryan? We got Michael?
Yep.
All right. Woo! We fixed it. James. Bo? And then Zach. As much as you're dying to get off the stage, trust me, you want to stay right where you are. So we would like to invite representatives from the Portneuf Medical Center Auxiliary to come forward. This is always one of the most exciting parts of graduation. I love it every year. And so they have a presentation that they're going to make. So.
Okay, this is Karen Retke. I'm Juanita Grimmett, and we're with the Portneuf Medical Center Auxiliary Volunteers. We're happy to welcome our new residents to Pocatello, Portneuf Medical Center, Idaho State University, and Health West. Every year, our auxiliary is very proud to present our new residents with $500 each, hoping it will help in letting them know how happy we are to welcome them to Portneuf and furthering their careers. So without further ado, here's our checks for you, and again, welcome. If you want to stay, just stay there. Okay. Rylan Anderson. Smita, is it Armstrong?
Thank you very much.
Dominic Hargis?
Yeah, you got it.
Brigham Hardy. Landon Hildebrandt. These are what I'm handing out. They're fake. Ryan Hudgkins.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Michael Mills. James Scott. Bo Dayton. Zach Wilson. Nelson, sorry about that. I gave you a new name.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Harrison Hoskins.
I told you wanted to stay, so. All right, one more round of applause. All right, you can go now. We recognize that means that you might eat something other than ramen noodles and mac and cheese now for the next 2 weeks. So thank you, Portneuf Auxiliary. We really appreciate that. We have a myriad of awards that we give at the residency given by the graduates. 3 of those awards carry special meaning. And so for many of you, you know immediately that special meaning as you see those wonderful faces in front of you. But we have 3 different kind of preceptors, physicians from the area that we lost quicker than we wanted to, that contributed substantially to the medical community and to the residency. And so we always like to take this time just to honor them. And again, we have named these awards after them. And so those are before you. We had our graduation luncheon yesterday, and we had a myriad of awards that we presented there, and those are just there for you, for your information. And then we have a few awards that we would like to present tonight. And so I think I have pharmacy residents that are presenting a couple of awards, and then I think Cy Speth was coming up to represent the medical residents. And so if that group wants to come forward.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. So the pharmacotherapy residents nominated Pilar Davila as our preceptor of the year. And we chose Pilar for a lot of reasons, but the one that really stands out is that she really challenged all of us while also creating a safe and supportive learning environment. Pilar is an excellent pharmacist. She's a wonderful human, and she really strives to bring out that excellence in her learners. She shows true passion for teaching, and anyone who's worked with her will tell you that she goes above and beyond for her patients and her colleagues. To be quite honest, Pilar intimidated me at first. She was just so knowledgeable, and she seemed to really kind of run the hospital as far as pharmacy goes. When I started my ICU rotation with her, I was kind of worried about letting her down or being inadequate, especially because ICU is just not my forte as far as a practice setting. But as time went on, I realized that Pilar just had my best interests at heart, and I know that the other residents would echo that as well. She would check in with us often and encourage us to keep learning and growing throughout our challenges. I left that experience with a totally different outlook on Pilar as a clinician, a teacher, and a mentor. And so on behalf of the pharmacotherapy residents, Pilar, thank you for your dedication and for helping us grow into the best versions of ourselves. You are greatly appreciated.
Or you can make sure she gets it, whatever your preference is. We want it in their hands. Okay.
All right, so some of these had heated debates among the residents, just so you're aware. Oh, so it's in order. Well, I was just going to read off this.
That's fine.
But we are very grateful to all of our attendings, all the nurses, and everybody else that's around us. Honestly, we couldn't do it without everybody. And so some of these awards reflect some of those. And we tried to not put the same person every year. I know that's always a theme, but first I want to do the Inpatient Teaching Award. This is somebody who's on the inpatient side of things, whether that's on hospital medicine on nights, or one of our attendings that are therein. And we wanted to recognize somebody that is newer to the team and actually has been a big help to us. Not sure how she does her 2 weeks in a row on nights, but this award goes to Dr. Sarah Naring. All right, next one up is Maternal and Child Care Teaching Award. Also another newer face, I guess we should say, but for me, my wife, he is not new. He has been her OB for the last 2 years now, and we're very appreciative of him because obviously we have Ava because of him. But he has been very helpful in many aspects of our OB tracks, as well as being able to teach us and bring us forward into knowing how to actually take care of pregnant people. And so, Dr. Sean Bergston, if you'd come forward. This is one of our most important awards, as I said, with our nursing recognition. This one was probably the most heated debate and vote among the residents. It was split by one vote. We kind of just came to a consensus, just so everybody knows. But we're very appreciative of this nurse, and she's been continually trying to get better throughout the entire time she's been with us, and it's showed. And so we'd like to present that award to Audrey Riley. Another important one. They're all important. This one's for the Outpatient Teaching Award. This is one of our attendings that helps us to do better while we're in clinic especially, but all around. And not much of a better person when it comes to being all around, and always nice to go to the precept room. I know that who was it? There was a resident at one point that kind of talked about all the different people you can go to present to and how they approach it. But we appreciate all of our attendings in the sense that when we go to them, they give us good feedback and they are able to tell us when we're wrong in a nice way, as well as congratulate us when we're doing the right things. But want to present this award to Dr. Zach Warnock. Last but not least, the Robert Rush Humanities Award. This is somebody that I know that all of us will truly miss as we're graduating. He's tried to retire probably 50 times over the last 2 or 3 years. We haven't let him. But this goes to Dr. Joseph Neil Reagan. That does it.
Thank you, and thank you to all of you wonderful teachers. We, the life of a physician, we were able to, normally we do those awards at the end. We knew that Dr. Nearing was going to be on nights, and so we were able to move that up this year to make sure that she could be here. And so thank you for all of your wonderful teaching. All right, let's get into graduation. And so if Verena wants to start making her way forward, Verena will be doing the tribute. Sorry, hit the wrong buttons here. Never done this before. Verena has the tribute for Audrey.
Well, hello everyone. I can't see anybody, which is probably good. First of all, congratulations. Actually, I can do it. Yeah. So again, congratulations to everyone. If I don't see you ever again, I wish you the best for the rest of your life, and we'll definitely miss you. All right. Well, it's my honor to tell you about my psychology intern. She's over there somewhere, Audrey Riley. Let's see. Audrey was born on February 11th in Arizona to Sherry and Pete, who are actually online somewhere in Zoom land. So we say hello, Mom and Dad. And she was very fortunate to grow up in a family consisting of several generations. So you'll see her here with her grandparents and great-grandparents, and there's obviously little baby Audrey, and some aunts and uncles and cousins, I think, and then there's she kind of on the bottom middle again. And Audrey really didn't always plan on becoming a psychologist, but rather had great ambitions to become an ice skater. And you can see it in the pictures, and she's there practicing her Olympic entrance pose in that pink tutu. Unfortunately, I was told Audrey was a clumsy child, so sorry, Audrey, I had to disclose that. And her family frequently wanted to put her in a bubble due to many broken bones. So being an ice skater was eventually scratched off from the occupational menu list. And Audrey's quiet demeanor can be deceiving as she wildly rode around quads in her childhood, which led to broken bones and being accident prone. So that really confirmed that ice skating was a poor and risky career choice. So other than ice skating, one of her current passions is being a mom to her son Charlie. And you can, let me go forward. You can see her here with her son. And you can also see her with her parents, Sherry and Pete, in some of those pictures. And another passion of Audrey's is diversity. And you can see it on the next picture. And there she's again with Charlie. And she always presents with a very warm and welcoming demeanor and nature, and it really played out in her patient care too, and also how she treats her colleagues and her co-interns in her psychology internship cohort. And so despite a failed dream of an ice skater, Audrey developed other interests in nutrition and started attending Arizona State University, first to get a nutritionist degree, but then eventually realized that wasn't really quite what she actually wanted, because she doesn't really care so much what people eat, she told me, but why they eat. So that kind of ignited her passion for psychology. And so Audrey later more specifically defined her interests to exploring what drives people's relationships with food. Throughout her schooling, Audrey was met with some challenges. She originally attended Argosy University for a psychology degree, which however closed in 2019. So quiet Audrey, if you've met Audrey, she's pretty quiet, pretty agreeable looking, but quiet Audrey decided to go to work and started a petition, being the unsuspected instigator she can be, to include students from Argosy, who were now homeless without a program, to be integrated into the Northern Arizona State University. And she got it done, and she is now one of the first graduating classes. And in the picture here, you'll see actually on her first day of internship, she took that selfie, I guess, at that time, about a year ago. And then you see her here with her graduates at the program at Northern Arizona State. And Audrey's pretty crafty. She actually made some nice graduation stoles for our psychology internship class. So we have a psychology internship here, and these two people you see here are the other two interns at Pearl Health Clinic and at the Boise State University Counseling Center. So next, Audrey is moving back to Arizona, and she's going to do a postdoc at the Phoenix VA in health psychology, and is very excited about that. Audrey, I guess I'm going to see if I can kind of see you at least a little bit. You've been a wonderful intern, and it's been such a pleasure to see you grow into a full-fledged psychologist, as I always say. From the bottom of my heart, I really wish you all the best for your future, and you'll do wonderful things, I'm pretty sure. So come on up here. You'll get your certificate in a week, so she graduates later. Stay in the limelight, huh? Congratulations, Audrey. And you'll get this little present from the residency. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Verena. So we have our two wonderful graduates from the pharmacotherapy class of 2023. With our medical and pharmacy graduates, as I've done in years past, I've tried to think of a word for me as I lead into them. And so our first graduate is Alex. And to me, you look at that picture and that is the word, happy. It has been so wonderful to have Alex's happy, smiling face for the last couple of years. Alex's tribute will be from Jordan Farrow. Jordan, if you want to come forward.
Where's the ladder?
I'll remember that for you next time.
Yeah, please. And also, Caitlin, thanks for throwing together the slides and compiling all the pictures of everybody. We really appreciate it. But with that, I guess the first task was done of making it down the stairs without dying. Now for the even more difficult part. But so hello, everyone. I'm Jordan Farrow. I'm one of the pharmacy faculty members with the Department of Family Medicine. And today I have the privilege of giving you Alex Brewster's tribute. I will say that I can be emotional at times, so please forgive me if I do start to cry, especially towards the end of this. And also 5 minutes to discuss Alex and her attributes just really is not enough time, so I'll try to do my best. First, I would like to start by thanking Alex's family, friends, and wife for their support of Alex throughout this crazy academic adventure. This moment would not be possible without you, so thank you. So Alex was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska on August 3rd, 1992, to her parents Dan and Monica Brewster. Alex is the youngest of 7 siblings: Chris, Ben, Ryan, Cameron, Melissa, and Celeste. And she also has 4 older half-siblings: Lincoln, Tristan, Stephanie, and Roger. Alex graduated from South Anchorage High School in 2010, where she lettered in 3 sports: basketball, flag football, and track and field, where she participated in 2 throw events, shot put and discus. I also did not know you could letter in flag football, so that's pretty rad. She was also in choir and swing choir for all 4 of those years. If you were here at graduation last year, you might remember a video of Alex, Tafa, and Kaylee singing Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot at karaoke. Some would say that Alex is the lead singer of the Farmers karaoke group. Following high school, Alex completed her associates at Yakima Community College in Yakima, Washington, where she also had a full-ride scholarship to play basketball. Alex and the rest of the Yaks won the NWAC championship in her first year, which was just weeks after one of her teammates, Hannah, died in a car crash. Alex recalls winning this championship as one of the most meaningful and powerful experiences in her life. Following her term as a Yak, Alex moved back to Alaska and attended the University of Alaska Anchorage to obtain her pre-med degree. And it wasn't until she worked as a pharmacy technician that she discovered her love for pharmacy. Following this, Alex attended the University of Utah College of Pharmacy and graduated with honors in 2021. It was also here in which Alex met her now wife, Morgan. I would like to extend my congratulations to the newlyweds. Alex is also notoriously hard on herself. Despite getting only 1 A- in pharmacy school, Alex doesn't claim to have achieved straight A's. However, Morgan and others would disagree and believes that Alex truly did achieve straight A's. Together, Alex and Morgan have a small herd of dogs: Gina, Pansy, and the newest addition, Cosmo. Alex is an outdoor enthusiast as well. She enjoys camping, primarily in the form of backpacking, and she also likes to hike. Alex and Morgan also recently took up cross-country skiing, and they especially love the fact that they can take their pups on these adventures. While on these adventures, Alex can often be found breaking the trail ahead of the group, yet she is always willing to hang back and support the other members of the group when needed. I think this is a true imagery of what type of person Alex truly is. Despite not being a morning person, Alex also has found a passion for CrossFit. Turns out she also holds the CrossFit championship for the best ugly sweater at the gym. Additionally, Alex loves documentaries, especially those that pertain to mushrooms or psilocybin. And she truly has an expansive knowledge on these mind-expanding drugs. Another interesting tidbit that Alex went her whole life without owning a credit card until about 2 weeks ago. So, Alex, please spend responsibly. Now, for my favorite part of all of this, Alex, I would like to leave you with some words provided by your colleagues and your friends and family. Some words that your colleagues have used to describe you are that you're compassionate, interesting, kind, inclusive, fun, brave, supportive, smart, always has your back, that's one word, and a patient advocate. Your family says that you're conscientious, caring, and dedicated to healing your patients and all people. One also stated, "I've really appreciated her insights on dog and human medication, optimism, and knowledge of important community resources and programs. Anytime I've asked her questions, like if my hoard of antibiotics and other old medications would work for my random ailments, spoiler alert, it's often no. She does so generously with her time and knowledge, and I love her for that." Morgan stated that Alex is a kind, tenacious, creative, and loving person. She is a powerful advocate for the LGBTQ+ community and other underrepresented groups. She brings deep empathy and humanity to her relationships and interactions, and empowers others to be radically themselves by being radically herself. And some well wishes from colleagues. Alex, it's been a wonderful time getting to know you and for having you as part of our healthcare team at Health West ISU. The University of Utah and the patients there are very fortunate to have you as their clinical pharmacist, who is not only skilled and smart, but also empathetic and compassionate. Alex, don't doubt yourself. You're one of the most brilliant pharmacists I've ever met, and the people and patients at the University of Utah are so incredibly lucky to have you. And lastly, Alex, remember that you are your harshest critic. You're already amazing, so make sure you let everyone see it. You're one of the kindest souls I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, and I have zero doubt you will touch the lives of many, many patients during your career. Stay brave and stay strong. So with that, Alex, congratulations. We're thankful for you for making this program a better place. The University of Utah and the community of Salt Lake City are lucky to have you. Continue to break the trail for you, your family and loved ones, your profession, your patients, and your community. Congratulations.
Get a picture there with her. So. So our next graduate is Tafa. Eric, if you want to make your way forward. The word that I chose for Tafa was diligent. If Tafa is going to do something, it is going to be done incredibly well, and I'm sure Eric will speak to that. So, Eric.
Oh, Tafa. Well, he asked me to do it, so here we go. All right, so today, I guess I'll start serious, right? Today, as we celebrate the accomplishments of Tafa, he did want me to acknowledge the presence of his beloved family with him. Their support and love and encouragement have been a bedrock to Tafa's journey, shaping him into the exceptional individual he is today. It's my understanding, and I hope this is correct, that here with Tafa is his parents, Jay and Rima, as well as his two brothers, Wissam and Basil, and I hope I did that right. And then obviously his wife Hannah is here with him, and Malik. So I guess since his brother's here with him, his younger brother, and I made sure to say younger brother, not little brother, because it's my understanding that's not the case. Who was recently accepted to medical school. So even though he was recently accepted to medical school, Tafa did want me to inform him that it will still be a long while before he's making more money than Tafa. So before we delve into the remarkable achievements and qualities of Tafa, I think it's necessary for me to showcase his unique name as well. It seems as though throughout Tafa's journey, many people have struggled to pronounce or remember his name correctly. They say that the greatest minds are often the ones with the most unpronounceable names. Well, in the case of our exceptional pharmacy resident Tafa, that statement holds true. It's safe to say that his name has left many people scratching their heads, attempting various combinations of letters, and resorting to call him everything but his actual name. So, in that spirit, this will be the last time I say the name Tafa or Mustafa correctly throughout the entire tribute speech. Now, let's explore the extraordinary journey and exceptional qualities of Taffy as we pay tribute to his incredible achievements. All right, Clostridium difficile, commonly known as C. difficile, is a formidable bacteria that can cause severe diarrhea and life-threatening complications. Treating this infection requires early detection, medical expertise, lifestyle modifications, and appropriate antibiotic treatment. Tosfa and I have worked together often for 2 years, and one of the things we enjoy working on the most together is infectious disease. So as we continue to pay tribute to Todd, and I don't know, that was bad. Alex sent me these. Someone actually called you that. So, and his exceptional character, let us explore the various aspects of his personality through the lens of C. diff treatment. Each treatment approach corresponds to a distinct characteristic that defines Toshfa's remarkable qualities as a healthcare provider. By connecting his traits with specific treatment methods, we gain a deeper understanding of his extraordinary contributions. Okay, so vancomycin is the first one we're going to talk about. This is in relation to Tapa's beginnings. So vancomycin is a potent antibiotic and is often the first line in the hospital for the treatment of C. diff. Tasha's early life was shaped by diverse experiences and the love of his family. He spent his childhood in Sandy, Utah, but his beginnings were in Saudi Arabia, where he lived until the age of 6. Being exposed to different cultures at a young age instilled him in a sense of openness and adaptability, which would later become invaluable qualities in his interactions with patients. Growing up, Talfas developed a love for sports, particularly football and basketball. He not only enjoyed watching games, but actively participated in these sports. And sports served as a catalyst for teamwork, discipline, and perseverance, qualities that would undoubtedly translate into his approach to patient care. In his leisure time, Taffe's competitive spirit extended beyond the sports arena to video games, excelling in Madden football. I think that's key. I cannot go without expressing Tayafa's love for the Utah Jazz and the Pittsburgh Steelers. His dedication to the Utah Jazz is unmatched, and Hannah tells me he knows every player's stats, their shooting percentages, and yes, even their shoe sizes. Taffe's loyalty to the Pittsburgh Steelers is unyielding. Rain or shine, win or lose, he proudly dons his black and gold attire, ready to defend his team's honor. His love for both the Jazz and Pittsburgh Steelers can sometimes put him in quite the predicament. Imagine the internal struggle he faces when the Steelers play the Jazz. Will he wear a Steelers jersey with basketball shorts or a Jazz jersey with football cleats? See, that was funny, Tafa, because they play different sports. It's the only dad joke I have in the whole thing. All right. Tafa's inspiration to pursue pharmacy began as he was following in his mom's footsteps. He always knew he was interested in the medical field. He initially started as a tech in training, and he volunteered with Syrian refugees, and he had such a good experience with that he knew he wanted to pursue pharmacy. So the second medication that we utilize, our second treatment, is metronidazole. So Tyler's tenacity and determination, that's a bad one too, I don't know how you dealt with that, Tafa. All right, metronidazole is a commonly prescribed antibiotic used in the treatment of C. diff and has a different mechanism of action. So, in 2015, Taffy's life took a beautiful turn when he met Hannah, a year after graduating from high school while working at Target. Tafat didn't want to mention this, but I'm pretty sure she was his boss. Their connection led to a blossoming relationship that culminated in their engagement in July 2020 and their joyous wedding in May 2021. Hannah said that she wanted to get married before Taza's graduation from pharmacy school, and he decided to put it off until the very last moment. I believe, it's my understanding, they got married the day before graduation. I wanted to mention here that Cafe Rio catered his wedding. Tafa loves Cafe Rio. Hannah describes Taka as a passionate, caring, and possessing wonderful sense of humor, a true embodiment of his exceptional character. When asked about Thomas's All right, I think that was the last incorrect name I was given, so we're done with that. Greatest qualities, Hannah stated that she loves his nerdy side. So Tafa's nerdy side adds to his unique personality. He enjoys playing chess in his spare time, watching classic anime, and secretly indulging in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. He says that was a long time ago, he claims. A testament to his diverse interest and multifaceted nature. Additionally, his avid football fandom shines through as he possesses an impressive knowledge of almost every player in the NFL. In fact, that doesn't go unnoticed by Hannah. I can't help but add this unique fact. Tafa puts hot sauce on everything, and possibly that includes pancakes at some point. School did not come without its challenges. In pharmacy school, Tafa experienced difficulty trying to find balance in life, and he felt the struggle of balancing life and spending time with Hannah and family. Hannah has seen Tafa's ability to balance his life out change dramatically during residency. The third treatment is a fecal microbiota transplant. So we're going to talk about Tafa's compassion and empathy in relation to that. FMT is an innovative treatment method and involves the transfer of healthy bacteria to restore the balance in the gut microbiome. To show Tafa's dedication to his hobbies, when I asked about Tafa about his greatest accomplishment during pharmacy school, he told me a story that had nothing to do with pharmacy. During his pharmacy school journey, Tafa also demonstrated his athletic prowess, participating in men's basketball league, an exhilarating turn of events. His team entered the tournament as a 5th or 6th seed, ultimately finding themselves in the finals against the number 1 seed. Tafa informed me that his brother, who was for sure the star of the team, was triple teamed at the time, and because of Tafa's determination and skill, came to the forefront as his brother was being triple teamed with the last second of the game counting down. Tafa confidently sank the game-winning shot at the buzzer, leading his team to victory and leaving the last memory of triumph, and they won the championship. That's impressive, right? Freaking awesome. All right, so more impressive to me, though, is Hannah states that the biggest thing she is proud of him about is how much care and attention he puts into his patients, and that he goes above and beyond his role. Hannah affirms that Tafa's greatest joy in life are his family, Hannah and their son Malik, and his passion for the study of pharmacy. She acknowledged his genuine love and dedication to his patients, going above and beyond his role and providing exceptional care. I'll never forget one day I was out hiking after a long day working in the hospital, and I received a phone call from Tafa, and it was Tafa wanting to know about a current anticoagulation treatment that we were doing for our patients. So while I was focused on the next hill, Tafa was avidly worrying about the patients that he had. The last thing that I'll say is support care and supportive management are important for the treatment, and Tafa's attentiveness and patient-centered approach applies directly with this. Upon completing his pharmacy residency, Tafa has embarked on a new professional endeavor and is going to be working at St. Charles Healthcare in a primary clinic as an ambulatory care pharmacist. His focus on chronic disease management and participation even in a medical residency training up there will be an important part of his future. I have loved working with Tafa. He is intelligent, he is on the ball, he's dedicated, and he is more than willing to go above and beyond for the care of his patients. I know that in Oregon they are going to love him there. And Tafa, with that, I just want to say congratulations.
Tafa, I'm impressed that you can still give him a hug after he butchered your name so many times. Impressive, impressive. Emily Davis is our first medical graduate. Zach Warnock, if you want to make your way forward. What's that? Oh, I apologize. They are Emily's side. Yes, I can see that. So, all right, John, you're up.
Thank you.
Maybe not everyone here knows Emily, but you've heard her tonight. Emily, can we get a woot woot? There it is. Thank you. Hilarious. Whenever a resident asks me to give a tribute, I always give a little warning of like, hey, I'm not going to really focus on your best features. I'm going to try to embarrass you a little bit. And I knew there would be plenty of good things to say about Emily. Like, we all love her. She's been a fantastic resident. Tons of good things to say about her. But I was having trouble finding things to ridicule her about. And I kind of was coming to the conclusion, I'm like, well, maybe she's just not funny. Like, I don't know really what to do here. But TJ came through for me a little bit at the end, so thank you, TJ. I want to acknowledge a few people who are important in Emily's life. I believe she's accompanied by her mother here, right? Dr. Susan Davis, who's an endocrinologist. Her father, Dr. Jim Davis, is a geriatrician. She has two supportive sisters, Lindsay and Joanna, and her husband, TJ, who is also here, of course. She grew up in California. She's a Valley girl, Los Angeles. And I asked Emily if she's ever had an embarrassing moment in her life, and she's like, no, not really. My mom was embarrassed when I didn't do my second bow as I was taught in my rehearsal at the National Charity League Ball. But she never really has had an embarrassing moment. Years later, after that ball, Emily, our little debutante, shocked her tattoo artist when she chose to get her one and only tattoo on her neck. Still not an embarrassing moment for Emily. And now we embark on the long and tortuous journey that Emily took to get where she is today. She started an undergrad at Georgetown in Washington, D.C. She wasn't quite sure about medicine at that point. And she failed OCAM as a sophomore because she was taking too many credits, trying to balance too many things. And because things had been so easy for her up until that point that it just caught her by surprise. So she eventually graduated, really didn't know what to do. With her grandmother having wiped out her college debt, Emily decided to travel for 4 months. So she went to Europe. What was that? Was that a woot? Okay. So Turkey for a month, Greece for a few weeks, Italy for a month. Her aunt partially lives in Germany, so she crashed with her aunt in Munich and had a great time at Oktoberfest. She then went to Vienna, Prague, Budapest, Berlin, Denmark, England, and finally came home. She stayed in hostels while she was there. I don't know about everyone else, but the thought of my early 20s-year-old daughter like going to Europe and staying in hostels is a little bit terrifying, but I don't really have the same skills that Liam Neeson does. So, but I can only imagine how your parents felt about this. She shares a story. She got, you can picture Emily saying this. She's like, I got a little bit kidnapped at one point by a hostel owner in Naples. That was the very first hostel where she stayed, and yet she continued to stay at hostels. This person offered to take her to see something. He mumbled something, and she's like, I think he said something about Vesuvius, so I'll go with him. So off she went. On the highway after a couple hours, she didn't know where she was. She finally got him to pull over, and she's like, dude, like, take me back. And he's like, no. So she really didn't have any control, so she continued to go with him. They ended up in some city somewhere. I don't remember what. Oh, that city. They finally got there. She immediately walked away from him. Somehow, this guy with all this charm talked her into coming back, and he finally took her back to Naples, and she stayed in his hostel again that night. And she says, this is a quote, she's like, there weren't really any dangerous vibes. I just let him know it was very impolite to take someone to another town against their will. And Emily, you're welcome. I purposely didn't mention that this was on the back of a motorcycle as you requested to not tell your mother. So then she came home and she started job searching. She was crushed by the fact that Sesame Street did not want her. And so through nepotism, she ended up working as a receptionist and a researcher at UCLA. Eventually became a manager, and at some point went on a business trip to South Africa in Zutulele. This was her first of many visits to South Africa. She ended up going back there as a volunteer for 1 year, managing property, working in preschools, grant writing, doing all sorts of things for the Jobelani Rural Health Foundation. And that is where she decided that she wanted to go to medical school, because she saw people working in community health, and it really inspired her to go into medicine. She loved seeing physicians out meeting with people and working with people, and loved that they were able to develop such a special relationship, and that's what she loves about medicine. Meeting people, becoming a part of their lives, and encouraging and helping them, and very few jobs allow you to form that sort of relationship, and that is what Emily loves and where she excels. So, undergrad part 2 at UCLA Extension, and while she was doing that, she volunteered at the Children's Hospital and did research. She eventually finished and went to medical school at Washington University in St. Louis, which once again was a tortuous journey. So between her first and second year, she went back to Zutulele in Africa, working in women's health, shadowing in the hospital. And then between her third and fourth years of medical school, she took a year off working for UCLA and working for a year in South Africa again, doing some research program with the South African government. And then she came back to LA, spent 6 months writing grants, all those sorts of things, and then went back and got an MPH at the Brown School of Social Work at UCLA. Was it WashU? Sorry, my bad. Finally, can I hear a woot woot for WashU? Okay. Finally, oh, Emily. Finally, after 6 years of medical school, she finished her fourth year. And I can only assume, like, as a parent, again, like, what is going on with my daughter? I can only assume that her parents were wondering if she was ever going to finish medical school. On a small level, I can relate to that, because oftentimes through residency, I often wondered if she would ever finish her notes. So we all laugh because we all know how true it is. She got a few warnings from Dr. Mickelson on that one. She got a dog while she was in Los Angeles. This is Lucy. Lucy's a mutt. Emily lovingly coined her as Bullshit Poo. This dog is half pit bull, half Shih Tzu, and half mini poodle. TJ came into the picture at the beginning of when she was working on her MPH. He told her he loved her after a week. They started dating. I should have gotten TJ's side on this. She says it took her much longer. Apparently, they met at a bar. They played a two-person version of Apples to Apples, and she says that she can predict everything about him. He couldn't predict anything about her. Later, she beat him at bowling, and that's when sparks began to fly for her. So she decided to dump her boyfriend and go with TJ. TJ, surely you let her win to score points, because in your words, Emily's hand-eye coordination in sports is concerningly lacking for someone who wields scalpels and stitches. So off Emily goes to residency. She did her research looking at many different programs. She knew she wanted to be in the West, knew she wanted rural. She came and interviewed here, saw that the residents were very happy, and we were very glad that Emily came to residency here. Her fellow residents noticed a few little quirks about Emily, and in retrospect, I wish I would have known about this little quirk, because I remember now her doing this to me several times while she's typing away on the computer, finishing the notes that never would finish. She does this thing where when someone's talking to her, she's trying to show that she's listening or paying attention, and she goes, quickly, always 3 times. And even her fellow residents' children have started doing it when Emily is around. Emily is responsible, respected, she's on top of things as a physician, but this ends at work. She gets enough doses of real life through work, and so she prefers magical romance and escapism that makes TJ blush with embarrassment, and he will not share with anyone their Netflix watch history. Academy Award winners are meaningless to her. Spotlight, Moonlight, no thanks. She wants Twilight. She wants to watch a vampire seducing a werewolf, a witch fighting another witch over a lover, or the logistics of two shapeshifters in love. She loves pretty much everything, a little bit annoyingly so, because I was like, well, what do you like? And she's like, I like this and this and this. I love everything. And I'm like trying to find a theme for this and couldn't really find one because she loves everything. This does include playing board games, though, But Emily has an interesting strategy because TJ wins at pretty much everything that they play. And so Emily combats this by taking on the role of wild card or chaos. This is one of her favorite roles. She'll just start making mayhem in the game for no reason. She'll randomly stop adhering to rules and openly cheating unapologetically. But in the end, Emily is smart and energetic. She is kind, sincere, empathetic, and heartfelt. She sincerely wants to positively influence the lives of her patients. She is definitely not in it for the money. She's in it for the good that she can do for so many people, and she will do that good. And the people in Arcata, California are lucky to have her. Dr. Emily Davis.
All right, some brief technical difficulties. We're back with you, so come on forward. Dr. Brandon Komish is our next graduate, and Dr. Milan will be doing his tribute.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I got bucked off my horse yesterday and I'm walking a little funny. And this is the first time I've ever been here to one of these graduations. And because of that, when I got the email saying, you know, do the tribute to Brandon, you cannot take over 5 minutes. Don't even think about it. Maybe 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and that's it, and you're out. And you can roast him, or you can just tell a little bit about him, and you're done. And after listening to these people here, and Brandon, who is this fascinating person, and I'm up here with, okay, I have like 3 sentences, not fair. So any of you second-year residents, I would do better by you next year. I'm just saying, you got to give me another chance. But I was really honored when Brandon asked me to do this tribute, and I wish I had known more about it. But he has been an incredible help to us at the Pocatello Free Clinic. And I appreciate all of the residents' help because we could not do it without you. And Brandon, because of his absolute love for serving the underserved who have no resources, just kept showing up on our door. He would go out to American Falls with us, and we were putting on clinics there. When we would go to the potato warehouses, he was there to do physicals on people who are working 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's the only hope of ever seeing a provider. And Brandon was there all the time with his fluent Spanish and his smile and his love. And we are all just incredibly grateful for him. And so who is Brandon? And I wish I knew that I had had time to tell you funny things, because I don't. I'm just telling you the facts. And I wish I had time to look at his photographs. But anyway, Brandon has an interesting story. And it's interesting how much it parallels my story that I found out just a few days ago. But when Brandon, he was raised in Utah, and he had a bunch of brothers and sisters, and they were not privileged people. And he went to 9 different elementary schools, and it wasn't expected, to finish high school. 2 of his siblings did not. And yet he did finish high school. And afterwards, he volunteered for a year in Southern California. And he was doing a mission. but it was so much more to him because here he came out of a life that was very, very challenging and very difficult. And all of a sudden he's out in the world and realizing there's a lot of people who it's no fault of their own, but they have nothing. And he worked mostly with people from Central America and South America, and realized the disparity in healthcare, the disparity in resources, the disparity in education, the disparity of even just being treated like a human being who deserves respect. And it just lit this fire in him. And that fire, no matter what happens to him, continues to be brighter and brighter and brighter. And he came back to school here at ISU. He got a degree in nutrition, a degree in anthropology. He was traveling to India, traveling to Africa, started a nonprofit organization, Hope for a Better World. He was looking at how can we help educate these children, how can we help make healthcare available to everyone so that they know they deserve a life that's worth living. And it's so easy for us privileged people to think that. And it was interesting because I came from a family that we were, my grandparents were immigrants from Eastern Europe, and they were farmers, and we didn't have a lot. And we weren't expected to go to high school either. And it was very interesting because Brandon, because he speaks such beautifully fluent Spanish as well as a number of other languages, he was in Peru and he was translating for some physicians. And this woman came up to Brandon and said, "Thank you for saving the life of my son. He would not be alive without you." And Brandon, was thinking, wait, I'm not the doctor, I'm the translator. But he realized that he was going to be a physician, and then he could have the skills that his heart of hearts is to be of service. So he was going to be a physician so he could be of service to people. And interestingly, I had a very similar experience. I actually was finishing law school thinking, legal reform, that's the way to really help with social inequality. And I was in a clinic near Puno, Peru, with some friends of mine who were pediatricians, and I was helping them. And a woman came up to me and said, "Thank you for saving the life of my son." It was the exact same words that was said to Brandon decades before. And it was like, okay, I've never had any math, I've never had any science. And I just turned the ship around, and it was like, I'm going to be a doctor. Because if you have these skills and you have respect and you have humility, you can do an incredible amount of help. And so that's what Brandon did. And like Brandon always says, and this is what I love about him, he says, our innate desire to be of service to people, to be compassionate, that's innate. Everyone sitting in this room has that. But that's innate. But then to say, okay, so for years and years and years and years, I'm going to study, I'm going to work, no one's going to get who I really am, what I'm really about, but I'm going to do it nevertheless because that's what my calling is. And so standing up saying, yes, it's innate, I have compassion and desire to serve, and I'm going to prove it to everyone. And that is exactly what Brandon has done. And there's so many other things about schools that he has set up in Mali, and it's under very, very adverse circumstances because I've spent the majority of my career doing international humanitarian aid. And when you go into the heart of suffering, that is when you really learn who you are, when you can't turn away from the suffering because only you can respond to it. And that's what Brandon has done. He continues to dive into the very heart of suffering. I know during his residency, I mentioned to him a group that was in Matamoros, Mexico, and Reynosa, and they were doing work with all of these immigrants who weren't allowed to cross the border. So many were dying in the streets. And within a month, darn it, there was Brandon. He was down there on the border taking care of these people. He just got back from Africa a month ago. It's like nothing ever stops him. And how he has helped the free clinic, because again, we're trying to take care of people who have no resources, is he's always been at our clinics. He got money to get ultrasound people to train us how to do our ultrasounds. Otherwise, we couldn't obtain them for our patients. And again, always being at the food processing plants, being at the clinics, being in the streets, being wherever the people need us. Brandon was always there, and I really feel he's my brother, and I'm so incredibly grateful. And it's interesting because, as you know here, there's so much you sacrifice doing this. And Brandon has this incredible wife, Andrea, and 2 children, Liet and, yes, Rona. And I was talking to Andrea for just a minute before I came in, and she said it's so nice to have Brandon back in the family. He's not a voting member in the family yet. We'll have to see how that goes, but he is back in the family. But, you know, the sacrifices that we do make, you know, with our children, with our families, and again, it's because of Brandon's desire to do so much more than I know I will ever achieve in my lifetime. And he inspires me. So I'm incredibly grateful. And after this, he plans to work for Tribal Health, and I myself was in Indian Health Service for 8 years after my residency. We have these parallel paths, except you're better. And then he's been doing tons and tons of research out in our agricultural areas to see what are the pediatric needs, so he can help fulfill them, because, you know, the undocumented children, they don't qualify for Medicaid in Idaho, and they don't have services. I mean, I can tell you because we're there every week. And he's working very much trying to figure out how to be financially stable while working with the most vulnerable populations without any resources. And it's heartbreaking, and I know Brandon is going to make this a better world. He already has for me, and I'm sure he has for all of you that have known him. And I really honor his parents who are here in this audience, as well as his wife and his children. And it's people like Brandon who make this life worth living, that we give thanks at the end of the day. So thank you, Brandon.
Thank you for that wonderful tribute. I will reassure you that my faculty are told the same thing you're told. They just don't listen to me. So they don't listen to me. You've seen that. So anyway, thank you for that wonderful tribute. Taishe is our next graduate, and Dr. Chiganaboyan is doing her presentation. If you want to make your way forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming. It's so wonderful to see all these people here to honor our graduating class and also welcome the intern class. I would like to thank Dr. Taishe Yagi for giving me this opportunity to speak at her graduation. No, Taishe, it's not extra work for me at all. I'm truly honored and privileged. So I've known Taishe for the last 2 years. So when I first saw her, she was running around trying to figure out a plan for her patient on whom many others had given up. Kind of like little Moana in the movie. Who here has seen Moana movie? Good job, yes. Me too, only like 53 times or something like that. And ever since I wrote this, I think I watched a time and a half or something. Oh, sorry. So our little Moana, AKA Dr. Yagi, was born to Mr. Craig Davis and Saroya Davis in Idaho Falls. She has 2 older brothers. So her dad fondly recollects, Taishe was probably around like 3 years of age, and she told her mom and dad to go to the store and get her a baby sister. So guess what they did? A year later, they did get her a baby sister. Nope, not from the store, the old traditional way. So her mom says that is how she treated her sister Teja until she went to college. She was just her baby. Her mom also recollects how sportsy Taishe was. She was just in track and in general a very active child. Taishe decided to do gymnastics, but her little town did not have an opportunity for gymnastics. So she decided to do soccer, but there was no girls' soccer team in their town. Guess what she did? Joined the boys' team. Yeah, her mom says Taishe was just different from other kids. She was very advanced in her thinking. Her dad, who is a swim and a scout teacher, shares another story. One day, Taishe, probably around the age 5 or 6, was with him when he was teaching. And Taishe asked him to teach her how to swim. And he gave her verbal instructions. The next thing he remembers, she was swimming like a little pretty fish. And he says, that is the prettiest front crawl I have ever seen. And all I did was I gave her verbal instructions. Growing up, Taishe lived very close to her maternal grandparents. She was just a horse ride away. She enjoys and loves horses and learned to ride from her dad and grandpa. Her favorite horse was Bunchy. She went to college at BYU. She was having a good time in college, enjoying sports, soccer, track, weightlifting, and all the fun things. And her favorite thing, gymnastics. She started one day she noticed like she was getting a severe headache, one that she couldn't shake off. Then it progressed to inability to swallow. The next thing she knows, she was walking like a drunk person, and she's like, I've never drank my whole life. The one thing which bothered her the most, she couldn't do a cartwheel, and she was like, that's it, I have to go get help. So she went to her family, who were not like really big fans of the medical system because, we're expensive. But they took her to a medical provider, and who basically advised, it's probably a bug. We'll give you some antibiotics. We'll monitor you. That's what we tell everybody, right? Yeah. So guess what? It didn't get any better, and now she had a baseline headache. She couldn't sleep, and her sister told her she occasionally stopped breathing in her sleep. So her family took her to another provider who put finally 2 and 2 together and ordered a brain scan. They found a golf ball-sized brain tumor sitting on the area which controls balance. Some neurosurgeons refused to operate on it due to the location of the tumor and hence the complexity of the surgery. But an aunt of hers helped find the right people, and Taishe was operated on a week later. Taishe says her doctors didn't put her on any restrictions. So she loved gymnastics. She went back to, she took the summer off. She went back, and then she went to gymnastics. And she continued to have mild symptoms, but guess what she did? She just put those caffeine packets in water to help with her symptoms. She just loved that sport. So Taishe met Justin Yagi in Provo, Utah in 2015. Justin says they were initially study partners, and later they figured they were the only 2 unmarried people in their class. So they decided to go on a date. And Justin remembers, she's funny and smart. And Taishe also remembered, he's funny and smart. So I'm going to save him for my sister. If you know Taishe, you can totally understand the joke there. So anyway, she changed her mind, and fast forward a few months, they were married later that year. Taishe went to Pacific Northwest University in Yakima, Washington for med school. When in med school, Justin and Taishe had their first child, a boy, Jesse, and they had their daughter, Taisley, in 2021 in second year of residency. So all of you here are associated with people who went to med school and residency. Duh. Yeah. So, our little Moana fought to take us, AKA med school and residency, back to back, and not to mention the shiny crab, Tamatova, and AKA COVID pandemic. I would also like to highlight here that on the side, she was tackling those Kakamora descendants, AKA kids. Yes, they're very cute, but those darts keep coming at you out of nowhere. One of the nurses shares Dr. Yagi went to a home visit, and she noticed the condition of the house, and she cleaned the house for 4+ hours, went back a second day to finish it. People at the residency think of Taishe as focused, determined, driven, breath of fresh air, or queen of the hospital. It reminds me of this one ancient story from my Indian culture. So there was a king who had 5 sons, and the 5 princes were with their teacher Drona, and they were learning archery. So the teacher Drona asked the prince, has a target, the bird's eye. So he asked the princes one by one, what do you see before you release the arrow? So the princes say, we see the sky, we see the bird, we see the tree, we see the branches. But only one prince, Prince Arjuna, says, I see the bird's eye. And the teacher Drona says, do you see anything else? And he replies, no, I just see the bird's eye and nothing else. Taishe is one such person. She just has an unwavering mind and focus and always has her eyes on the prize. Guess who is never getting that Adderall? Taishe. Taishe loves to spend her time with her family and extended family, helping her parents with projects, helping her grandparents, and taking care of grandparents, tumbling at Geronimo's with her kiddos, biking the local trails, watching rom-coms with her husband, and eating her favorite food, ice cream. Next stop on Dr. Yage's voyage is Hospital Medicine Fellowship at Portneuf Center this fall. Inspired by her love inspired by her love for tumbling, I have a graduation gift for Taishe. I got her a Geronimo's gift card so she can enjoy with her family. And instead of like unhealthy caffeine packets in water, here's a portable blender for you so you can make some healthy smoothies. That's so family. I would like to end this tribute with a quote, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." I also have a small video of her family members. Let's watch that for a second.
Ready. Congratulations, Aunt Taishe.
From Big Brother.
And Josie.
And Mommy.
Aunt Taishe, congratulations on finishing residency. And when you were born and got your name Taishe, I always wanted you to just be a little princess. And all the princesses in the stories, they always have hardships or something that they have to overcome. And you've done that. You worked really hard in getting to where you are, and I'm really proud of that. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Taishe. Becoming a doctor, what an achievement. Real proud of you.
Congratulations! We're so proud of all the hard work you've put in through all these years and being a mom at the same time. You've been superhero over there. Just like you were growing up for me, you've been a sister, mentor, mother-like figure, and also one of my best friends. So super excited for you and can't wait to see how far you go.
Taishe, congratulations on your graduation. We're so proud of you and excited for the next chapter of your life. We love you.
You are amazing. We are so happy you're part of our family.
Congratulations, Taishe. I love you and I appreciate all you've done for me and for our family. You're a wonderful mother, wonderful wife, and a wonderful doctor. And I'm excited for your next chapter and next adventure. We're all supporting you and hoping the best.
Congratulations, Mom. We love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Yoke, you knew when you asked me to do this that I wouldn't be clever enough to do what, they just did.
earlier. So, Sonia, where are you? Oh, okay, great. Are you ready? Here goes. Hivat ilta naiset yaherat, minula ankunya anta kunya noisotus, yoke kokanen valmistum isesta, y'all. For those that don't know, that is Arkansas Finnish. I could do this whole thing in Finnish, but it would last about 30 seconds and you all would kill me. First, I'd like to welcome Yoke's wife, Sonia, his parents, Yoke and Ruth Ann, and children, Suvi, Arvo, and Tula, to the family medicine residency graduation. We're sorry that Sonia's family in Finland were not able to attend. It's a hallowed tradition at this residency that each graduating resident chooses a faculty member to do their tribute in Dr. Milan, 5 minutes or less. And to cover the doctor's arc from hatchling to release into the wild, and do it in such a way that highlights his attributes, however few they may be, and minimizes his shortcomings, which are legion. By the way, I do appreciate Yoke taking a chance on me delivering his tribute. My faulty filter grows ever more porous as I totter into my dotage, and so I can't ever quite guarantee what's going to come out of my mouth. And I've been known to confuse withering criticism for actually loving kindness. Yoke was born in a Finnish-American family on the north shore of Oahu in Hawaii, not a place that's known for herds of reindeer and pickled herring. They're a bunch of high achievers, the Kokanens. No lounging on the white sands of Waikiki for that bunch, no. In the residency preceptor room, those of you who are residents certainly may have noticed a beautifully illustrated textbook on exercise physiology that was co-authored by Yoke's dad, the senior Dr. Kokanen. Yoke has a couple of brothers who've gone on to become physicians as well. That said, the star in the family, in my opinion, is Yoke's mom, the indomitable Ruth Ann. We can only imagine how hard it must have been for her with, 7 mouths to feed and trying to keep reindeer spam on the shelves in the kitchen, especially during the off-season. Fortunately, she could usually rustle up ingredients from that staple of North Utah, South Idaho funeral potatoes, modified, of course, for the Pacific palate. So it was basically scalloped taro root casserole topped with Velveeta, which is why they needed an exercise physiologist in the family. Yoke is the fourth of 5 kids, and by all accounts, the most sensitive, leaving Big Yoke and Ruth Ann to wonder in the dark hours of the night whether little Yoke would ever want to move out of the house, let alone amount to anything. Yoke's sensitivity may have been exacerbated by his little pasty white face among the sea of brown at Laia Elementary School. Most of the other kids outweighed him about 100 pounds. He dates his interest in human health to his grade school years when, walking home from school, he would come across smokers and ask them, "Hey, you know smoking's bad for your health?" We're grateful he survived those encounters and has since learned more effective motivational interviewing skills. After high school, he did a 2-year mission in Nagoya, Japan, and then a year at BYU, Hawaii, before moving to Utah and BYU Provo, where he majored in physiology and developmental biology. He graduated from A.T. Still Osteopathic Medical School in Kirksville, Missouri in 2020. And one thing that I learned in preparing for this evening was that, and maybe the rest of you knew this, certainly you osteopaths probably know it, but A.T. Still is the oldest medical school in the world, our oldest osteopathic medical school in the world. Let's dial the clock back just a little bit, though, to the 22-year-old Yoke, single, itching for romance, visiting Finland with his family, and attending a large social event where he was introduced to a couple of young, lovely women, one of whom would become his future bride, Sonia, but it was not she who caught his roving eye. No, it was the friend. Scroll forward a year, and Yoke was trolling this other girl on Facebook, and Sonia, demure, unassuming, but determined Sonia, was not having it. No. I'm not at liberty to divulge any of the details, but suffice to say that Sonia eliminated the competition with surgical precision. During their mostly long-distance engagement, Sonia was in Finland and Yoke was in college. Sonia later moved to the U.S. In 2013. She and Yoke got married. They lived for a time in Alpine, Utah, with Yoke's maternal grandparents while he worked and studied for the MCAT, while Sonia was learning a new culture, and the two of them were learning how to be a couple and how to make two different personalities and two different backgrounds work. Sounds easy. Yoke and Sonia love camping. They love learning about other cultures and other people. They look forward to settling in Post Falls, Idaho, raising chickens and kids, and Yoke hopes to have the time to rise through the Dungeons and Dragons hierarchy to the ultimate rank, which I understand is wizard. And Yoke, you may have to be a little careful using that term in the Panhandle, the Northern Panhandle. Yoke's 3 years in the family medicine residency have been marked by steadfastness, resilience, kindness, and good humor. He has struggled with lack of time, lack of sleep, lack of confidence, fatigue, frustration, complicated and sometimes ungrateful patients, complicated and always ungrateful faculty. He has grown immensely in his clinical skills and his medical knowledge and his ability to manage complex patients, and is now at the point where he can do so with competence, perseverance, and grace. In a nutshell, Yoke has learned to be a family doctor. In closing, here's a verbatim quote from Sonia. It's, I thought it was haiku-like in its precision and simplicity. Here it is. Yoke is great. He wants to make the world a better place. He also leaves beard hair in the sink. There's no doubt that Yoke will leave the world a better place. Sonia, whether he will learn not to leave beard hair in the sink is a whole other matter. So Yoke and Sonia, as we say in the U.S. Navy, Hivat Tulet Yasurvat Merit, which means fair winds and following seas. We wish you success and a joyful life together as you embark on this next big part of your lives. Come on down.
All right, Zach, come forward now. Beth is our next graduate.
Prepare to drop your vocabulary prowess a significant level after that. I just want to say real quickly, Dr. Milan, that was a beautiful tribute. She touched on something that all of us feel, and that's that these graduates have spent the last 3 years giving of themselves so completely that the opportunities to really get to know these kinds of really neat details are lacking, and it's such a treat to culminate this experience with them with the richness of their lives. So thank you all, and I have the distinct privilege of and the impossible task of sharing with you the life and times of Dr. Speth, condensed down to 5 minutes. So put your seatbelts on. Dr. Speth is accompanied tonight by his beautiful wife, Anna, and their children, Benjamin, who's 5 years old, and Ava, who is 2 years old, I believe. Also, his mother and father, Janae and Jeffrey Speth, as well as other family members who came to support him. Yeah. Cy grew up in North Ogden. For those of you who missed it, here is Cy growing up. You're welcome. Cy served as an LDS missionary in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and speaks Spanish and Portuguese. He went to undergrad at Weber State University in Utah and med school at Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. Anna and Cy got to know each other playing ultimate frisbee and went on their first date at a Real Salt Lake soccer game. Something oddly interesting I learned about Dr. Speth is that he's a Donkey Kong champion. Donkey Kong is a video game about a gorilla named Donkey Kong and his family and friends and their adventures. During one rare weekend off from residency duties, he binge conquered the entire game with his pharmacist brother to the great amazement and admiration of his young nephews. Apparently, as his brother put it, this is a skill reserved for only the most remarkable and promising clinicians. Donkey Kong and Dr. Speth actually do have a lot of attributes in common. Like Donkey Kong, Cy Speth is athletic and driven to excel. Even as a child, Cy has loved all sports, especially baseball. When he was young, Cy connected with a pitch and knocked a ball deep into the outfield and gave it his all, but was thrown out at home base. Later, he was crying on the bench because he didn't get a home run. Even at a young age, he showed passion for life, and it was evident that he expected nothing less than the best for himself. Cy brings that same passion and dedication to the job and the patients he loves. He had 1 week in the hospital when 6 patients died of COVID in 5 days. And with one of them, after giving everything he could medically to help the patient, he administered to him spiritually and helped the patient be at peace until he passed on. That's the kind of strength that Cy will continue to bring to his future patients and the kind of peace that he brings to their lives. But Cy hasn't always been as strong as Donkey Kong, and he has always been I'm told, he's always been a little dramatic about injuries and medical conditions on himself. When he was in college playing basketball with friends, he called to let his mother know he needed to go to the emergency room because he had dislocated his pinky finger. As a post-operative nurse, she informed Cy that a finger dislocation did not require an ER visit. When he returned home and his mom saw the finger had significant discoloration and obvious circulation impairment, they ended up going to the ER after all. The x-ray showed a double dislocation, and student observers even came in to see this odd injury. Cy felt very justified at that point. Dr. Speth and Donkey Kong also share imperfection as well. For example, his marriage proposal did not go according to plan. He planned a big surprise to propose to his wife in an LDS temple and invited several family members, both he and his wife's family members, to accidentally arrange to be in a certain place at the temple at the same time. And then at the perfect moment, he got down on one knee just as the temple attendant told him that proposals were not allowed in the temple. So he had to get up, abandon that plan, and take the procession outside to finish the job. Anna said yes, and it's the end result that counts, right, Cy? Speaking of imperfections, and second only to Dr. Davis, I won't miss having to nag Dr. Speth about getting his charts done and feeling like I'm speaking a foreign language because it doesn't do any good. Hopefully, like Donkey Kong, he'll level up on that one over time. As a final comparison, and maybe the most genuine, Cy and Donkey Kong are both loyally dedicated to friends and family and involve them in all adventures. As a child, he rocked his sister Miranda to sleep many nights and stayed up late with his brother Jake, watching Friends and eating cereal at midnight. They both have fond memories of this. In his early adult years, he and his brother and sister-in-law worked hard to care for patients as pharmacy techs for Intermountain, sometimes all on the same shift at once. They also had fun with movie quotes and good music during these times. As a husband, he is loving and supportive. During med school, Cy went out of his way to let Anna know that she took priority over medical school, even right before exams when he was under stress to study. As a father, Cy has been dedicated and loving, prioritizing and really enjoying his time with his children. However, Dr. Speth isn't invincible and sometimes needs his beauty sleep. That's the only reason he has some hair left on his head. Also, Cy, I stumbled on Dr. Cree in the bathroom, and he wanted to give you his sympathies for all of the future hair loss you're going to have. And as a fellow bald person, he said that joke was kosher, so. Cy and Anna and kids will move just up the road to Idaho Falls to continue their adventures while Dr. Speth practices medicine and learns to get his charts finished on time at Bingham Comprehensive Care Clinic. So, Dr. Speth, I want you to use this Donkey Kong costume to remember the passion, the strength, and the love of friends and family that have always supported you. Congratulations, your future patients are blessed to have you, and come get your diploma in this ridiculous costume.
Dr. Christensen, come forward. Dr. Brian Voss is our next graduate.
So we're almost to the end. Second to last, right? Can I get a woot? Yeah, all right. So, who is Brian Voss? To answer that question, we need to get the slideshow going. Because first and foremost, Brian is a family man. He's actually probably wandering somewhere right now trying to pacify one of his children. He's been doing that the whole time. So he and his wife Cassidy have 5 children between the ages of 8 and 1. For those of you who like math, that's 1.4 children per year. His oldest was born just before starting medical school in Missouri at Kirksville. 2 others were born during medical school. Another was born during his first internship in Missouri. And finally, Brian and Cassidy's youngest was born right here during second year residency. And if you're wondering if you heard me right, I did say first internship. That's because Brian was interested in radiology and did a transitional internship before shifting to family medicine. He did 3 years of training here, so yes, he had a first internship. That's an unfortunate circumstance that I've never heard him complain about, which I would actually call one of his core traits. Brian is very, very stoic, and also very, very, very flexible, very, very adaptable. Some of the other qualities that describe Brian were easy for me to see as I was preparing this piece, and that's because, first of all, he was one of the last, well, actually I think he was the last one to submit the pictures for the slideshow. Brian's distaste for administrative tasks is legendary, as the residency faculty and administrative staff can collectively attest. Yeah. Yep. He knows. But his reluctance to submit the pictures fits with another one of his core traits. Brian is a humble guy and a man of few words. I'm also a man of few words. I think that's why he picked me to do this tribute. He has no interest in drawing attention to himself. He told me I was allowed to talk for him for no more than 3 minutes. That is a request I will honor. And what better place to avoid attention than outside, away from other humans? As is apparent from the slideshow, I haven't been watching it, but I saw the pictures earlier. I assume we've got to them. As is apparent to the slideshow, Brian enjoys the outdoors. He enjoys a variety of outdoor amusements, no matter the season. But mountain biking is the one he spends the most time doing. It's also the one I've had the time to see for myself during our advisor meetings. In case you were wondering, I can't keep up with him, but I did take some of these pictures, a couple of them. And I'm glad that Brian isn't going far for the next phase of his life. He's actually already started his job in American Falls so that I can continue to try to keep up with him on the trails. And I'd just like to, I'll close with a Brian Vossism. I was trying to pry to get something to talk about for him. So I asked him what where's happy places? What's his happy place? Where would he like to be? And he told me, in life you have to have a lot of happy places. And I thought that was a pretty appropriate quote for him. So it's kind of a good demonstration of his adaptability. I've never heard him really complain once, and he's been through some tough stuff. So that's it, Brian. So come on down here and let's get this over with.
Scott, there is proof that you did what you said. You are the only faculty who the timer is still running right now, so strong work. Now, what we've really seen, though, if the graduates ask them to be brief, they'll listen. If I say something, they just ignore me, right? That's probably the way it should be. So we have one more graduate left from it's our second graduate. From the Rexburg RTT, and if Austin Gillette wants to come forward to present Dr. Mark Still. Don't worry, I'll turn your timer on.
Yes. I'm not going to look at it. Do it. All right. I wanted to say a couple things before I started. The first thing is there are a few moments in life, and I like to tell my kids this, and there's a few moments in life that you don't want to drive by. And I hope that those of you that are here, especially the graduates, don't don't let yourself drive by this moment. Take it in, stop, pull off the side of the road, take in the vista, remember it, cherish it. The people that are in this room are tremendous. And if you haven't gotten that feeling by listening to the speakers, admire those who are graduating and moving on, and even the speakers themselves. If you haven't gotten that, you've missed it. So don't miss that. Don't drive by it. And the second thing is, I excoriated Colby, Dr. Brower, last year. I am not going to do that with Mark for multiple reasons. And I am going to cry. I will do that. I will probably do that every time. I am saving that for Shelby if Shelby asks me next year. So buckle up, Shelby. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. Didn't take me long. Now that we have that over with. There's times in our life when a lack of sleep or food or money sets our priorities. And then there's other times when we can afford to look at inefficiency and adversity and trials as virtues, as something to be sought out and embraced rather than avoided. This is a story of one of those times. Mark Steele was born as the second of 3 boys. Linda, his mother, reports that as a child, he was the perfect child. He obeyed. He was a rule follower and not a rule breaker. He was easy. He was seemingly always happy. He was a pleaser, and he usually knew what he wanted and where he belonged. He was a mother's dream. He liked sports, and especially the San Francisco 49ers. In first grade, he mentioned to his mother that he wanted to be a doctor, and immediately her concern went up because she knew how hard that was going to be. She tried to dissuade him, and that happened throughout the early periods where he was exploring medicine and thinking about it. She knew how hard that road was going to be, and she tried to encourage him to chase other dreams, but Mark didn't listen this time. Mark was a happy and popular kid. He enjoyed sports. He participated in student council. He was the senior class president. He was a homecoming king. And he seemed to be everybody's best friend, or at least everybody's friend on some level. In sports, he played football, he played volleyball, he played baseball, and in the summer, he enjoyed playing fast-pitch softball. One of his best strengths, greatest strengths, even as a young child, was his ability to be self-motivated. He didn't appear to get fatally discouraged by setbacks. A heart-wrenching experience happened to Mark. In high school, that probably put him on a more direct path towards medicine. And it happened on the football field when he had a teammate and friend that collapsed on the field. Mark assisted in the care of this young man who ended up succumbing to his condition and passed away. And I can't imagine what that sort of an experience would be like, but I think it was perhaps this experience that forged Mark's zeal to become a doctor. And from that time forward, he felt called to the position. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Mark served a mission in Panama where he learned Spanish and learned to love and serve other people in a higher level. Those experiences shaped his personality and character to be one that people would be attracted to. Mark met the love of his life playing volleyball in Provo while he was attending BYU. The story goes that they dated for a while, and after a while, I'm not sure who dumped whom. I suspect that Melody dumped Mark at one point, but Mark had other plans. He had arranged a humanitarian trip to Panama, and before the breakup, she had already bought tickets to go along with the rest of this small group to Panama, and it was there in the salty seas and air of Panama where Mark was able to seduce her back, and where she really started to love him when she saw him serving the people there. And interestingly enough, they married in Las Vegas. They're still married, as far as I know. And it's lasted so long, so that's been a good thing for Mark. As he finished school, Mark went through, as he finished undergraduate, he had a couple more trials ahead of him, and one of those was getting into medical school. On the first pass, he got accepted to a school in Pennsylvania at LECOM, and we've had graduates that have graduated from there. And because of some technicality, he didn't have a prerequisite or something, they kind of withdrew his acceptance and said, sorry, we're not going to let you in this year. And while he was on his honeymoon, the school called back and said, well, never mind, we'll take you anyway. Maybe you can, make up this class and you can get in. And I don't know what was going on in his mind, but he declined the acceptance. And that perhaps was one of the worst decisions that he could have made. That became a black mark on Mark's application. And he thought, you know what, I'll work, I'll earn some money, and I'll reapply next year and I'll get in. I've got in before. Well, that didn't happen. And he applied and he applied and he applied and he didn't get in. And I think he wondered, what? I feel called to this position. I know I want to be a doctor. I believe that's where I'm being guided, but I can't get in. And so he decided to apply to PA school, and that didn't work either. And it seemed like all of the doors were closing before him. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The further sky, the greater length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. Persisting in his efforts, Mark continued to study and look for other avenues, but he had kind of given up in some ways on the opportunity of getting into medical school. And while doing that, he received what may have seemed like a spam email from Ross University asking if he'd be interested in going to a meeting that they were having in the local area in San Francisco where he was. And so he ended up going, and lo and behold, he got into school. And it wasn't the way that he had expected or potentially hoped, but he got in. And that was what was key. So he did medical school for the first 2 years on the island of Dominica. And he didn't seem to struggle like other students. He was smart. He picked up on the concepts. And honestly, this is the thing that when I heard, I knew I needed Mark in Rexburg. And this may be the reason that we brought him. He had to serve as a branch president while he was on the island. And if any of you know what a branch president is in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's essentially a pastor. So he served as a full-time pastor, a bishop, while going through medical school, while raising a family and trying to maintain his marriage. And Colby, Dr. Brower, said, hey, if someone can get through that and maintain their sanity, we want them. And Colby convinced me that we had to have Mark after that. At the midpoint of, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. At the midpoint of Mark's second year, when he had been in Rexburg about 6 months, he went through a period of time which I like to call the shanks. And if you're a golfer, shanks is a bad word. If you get the shanks, you walk off the golf course and you quit. And Mark had a period where he had the shanks. Every patient that came in seemed to have some problem. He had, I remember telling him, I remember wondering at one point if Mark was going to walk out of my office and never come back and become a used salesman, car salesman. And I felt like doing the same thing, and I felt so bad for him, and it was so hard. He was so hard on himself, and he had preceptors that were hard on him, and he had a run of bad luck, difficult patients. I remember telling him one time, Mark, I've never seen a penis bleed from that spot before. I've never seen that. Within a couple of days, Mark, I've never seen a patient with a bilirubin that high. Mark, I've never seen a person with a white count of 0. Mark, I've never seen a patient come in with a headache and end up with a brain tumor. I've never seen that happen over and over and over. I got tired of Mark coming into my office. He'd always come in and he'd be shaking his head and laughing, and I was like, oh no, what did you find? What found you? He has a way of finding the complex and the impossible amongst the mundane and being able to handle that and roll with the punches. His pathway has changed. His desires to do different things in medicine have changed significantly. And I really admire Dr. Steele for his ability to roll with the punches and push through and find his own path. At the start of his second year, if you ask Mark what he was doing, he might say something like, I'm saving lives, stamping out disease. And it was during that second year when I believe he would have probably said, I'm saving disease, stomping out lives. That's what it felt some days. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, and trees and men, good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both. And they hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars. of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life. I have patients that come to my office sometimes from hundreds of miles away. And a lot of them go to Dr. Steele. And when some of them found out he was leaving, I don't think they're coming back. He's that good of a person. Listening to your heart, finding out who you are, is not simple. It takes time for the chatter to quiet down, but in the silence of listening, we begin to know what we feel. And if we listen and hear what is being offered, the correct things in life can be our guide. Mark, Dr. Steele has done that. I'm grateful to have known him. I'm sad he's leaving. I've seen his ability to roll with the punches. I'm grateful for his patience with me, with medicine, with his family, and with the struggles that get put in front of him. I'm thankful that he's listened to those people in his life that have pushed him forward and got him to this point. I give tribute to all of you that are graduating. You are wonderful, wonderful people. I'm blessed to have been here today. I'm blessed to know the man, Dr. Steele.
Dr. A.J. Weinhold, if you want to come forward for the Wilderness Medicine Area of Concentration graduates.
Ooh, I didn't get a timer. It's amazing. Sometimes we do medicine in places other than the hospital. And this is our moment to highlight some of those moments. When I ask residents to sign up for the Wilderness Medicine Area of Concentration, express their interest, I tell them flat out that this is going to involve a lot of time in addition to their duties already assigned. And that it may require weekends, and it may require evenings, and it may require making different plans. It might require sleeping in a tent, or going out to ski on an ugly day when the snow is not nice. And they still sign up. So I wanted to highlight for you what they've been doing outside of the residency and why we recognize their accomplishments. So this is our graduates this year participating in their training for National Ski Patrol certification. They don't just shadow ski patrollers. They don't just work at the clinic at the foot of the mountain. They get on skis and they patrol, so they have to do the full training. You'll notice a lot of pictures of Brian Voss because he did the training twice. Because he got so sick the first year that he couldn't take the test. So he came back and did it the second year. He's the first resident who had to wear a candidate penny for a whole year. These residents also managed to do wilderness medicine in the middle of a pandemic. We did wilderness medicine virtually, a lot. We even attended an international conference from the Wilderness Medical Society virtually from the movie theater in my basement. That's all of them figuring out their blood type with a field test. And actually, the Wilderness Medical Society thought we were so cool, they called us out on their social media. This is the residents working on their lift evacuation skills. Unfortunately, that's a necessary skill for a ski patroller. It also gives us a good excuse to hang around from ropes. Never a bad thing. We did manage to end a pandemic and manage to get to a real wilderness medicine conference in Jackson Hole. There is one picture here of someone actually learning wilderness medicine skills, Yoke, in an improvised snow shelter. There's plenty of other pictures of us playing outside together. This happens to be a video of Brian's first time ever running a toboggan, which he did while taking his Avalanche Level 1 certification, doing this in a backcountry area in very miserable snow conditions. So kudos, Brian. I trust you to run a toboggan. And Brian is actually the first resident to ever do his Avalanche Level 1 certification with Ski Patrol. Emily and Yoke, on the other hand, are the first residents to do amazing ski patrolling of the Bunny Hill. I heard wonderful stories from ski patrollers who taught Yoke to downhill ski. And they were so delighted by his willingness to be a learner and to do that. And we learned that Finn does not downhill ski. That is Brian wearing his candidate pinny proudly. We also did wilderness medicine at the retreats. So we've got pictures here from summer retreat. That's Emily and Katrina perfecting their field water disinfection with boiling. As well as winter retreat, when we get the opportunity to invite the Idaho Falls Nordic Patrol to join us for education up at Harriman. And it's a good thing that we build positive relationships, because due to his inability to downhill ski, Yoke is now the first resident who officially joined the Idaho Falls Nordic Patrol. These residents also volunteer at the Scout Mountain Ultras, supporting 400 runners every year in running literally 100 miles in the wilderness around Pocatello. It's worth mentioning that because our 100-miler runners summit 3 or 4, there's extra credit, peaks during their run, and our aid stations are not reachable by cell phone. So in order for me to be the medical director for this race, I had to get my amateur radio license. And because Brian is so invested in this, he also got his amateur radio license to volunteer for this race. Brian, what's your call sign? So he can now call the International Space Station, by the way, if you ever want to do something really nerdy. These residents also presented at the emergency medicine conference held here at ISU for emergency medical providers, predominantly EMT basics. This is regional education for them, and they've been so gracious to expand into a full wilderness medicine afternoon. So we got to learn about how not to go hiking. We got to learn about how not to go mountaineering in a slot canyon, and how not to go hiking in Africa, South Africa, with a partner who doesn't go as fast as you do. They've been doing amazing outreach to our community, to communities of outdoor athletes, communities of EMTs, and I'm really proud of them. So these are our graduates from the Wilderness Medicine Area of Concentration. Come on up.
And then, sorry, Yoke, were you representing the graduates as a final thank you? Okay. So Yoke, you probably should stay here then. I know you're trying to get some extra steps in, so. Okay, so the time is yours.
No man or woman is an island entire of itself. Every one is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. We are here to celebrate the culmination of 7+ years of waiting through postpartum blood, test-taking sweat, and tears of frustration with EMRs and insurance bureaucracy. We did not do this alone. We are grateful to staff, administration, and advisors who helped us the past 3 years. We are grateful for parents, siblings, and friends who cheered us on. But it would be remiss of us to ignore the bedrock underneath the monuments to our accomplishments. Whether we started our journey with them or found them along our way, we could not have done this without the significant others in our lives. Now, as the dust settles, Mount Doom lies behind us, we feel the weight of our many arduous years grow lighter. And in retrospect, it always has been lighter than it could have been. The reason? To paraphrase the veritable Samwise Gamgee, speaking on behalf of our loved ones, I can't carry your burden for you, but I can carry you. Spouses, significant others, you carried us. Now, we would like to show a token of our gratitude. Graduates and their significant others, please come down to the stage.
Hold on, we're waiting on one still. I forgot his name. He's coming. Stay here, stay here, stay here, stay here, stay here. Can I get a standing ovation, please? Stand up for our graduates. Thank you, everybody, for coming. That concludes our graduation, and have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to our PowerPoint.